Is noon, so I'll go ahead and ring the bell. So welcome everybody to the Newport Rotary meeting of February 4th, 2021. This is Zoom meeting number 39, closing in on 50, and hopefully by the magic number 50, we'll be back in person. That would sure be nice. So let's see, let's start off with the pledge. Mark, would you mind leading us in the pledge?
As soon as I unmute myself.
Yeah, thanks.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America. And what's the rest of it?
To the republic.
Yeah, to the republic, one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
All right, thank you, Mark. Let's see, a couple announcements. But well, first of all, it looks like we have a few guests. We have, I see Morgan Hanna and Katie Hartzell, students of the month, I think, for this coming month. Welcome, good to see you here. And we look forward to your student of the month presentation in a couple weeks. Let's see, any other guests today? We have our speaker here who will introduce in just a few minutes when we get into the program. Let's see, just a couple announcements to start things off. Is Sylvia here today?
Yes, I am. Good
Sylvia,
morning,
would you like to talk
Rotarians.
about our community outreach?
Yes, good morning, Rotarians. I did contact Waldport Food Share, and they said they could also use 48, not 50 for some reason, cards, those Cheer Me Up cards for their seniors for Meals on Wheels deliveries. So that takes us up to about 140 of them now. So I hope you're getting your cards in. And when I spoke with the Waldport lady about duplicate messages, she said, you know, it just didn't matter because people were so valued anything that was handwritten for them that if their husband or wife had the same message, it wouldn't matter. So put yourself in a place like that where you haven't really had any sort of non-junk mail for the last year and you don't get to see your friends and relatives as much. So we appreciate people keeping that writing going. And I did drop off some supplies to Crestview actually, because I live in Waldport, and was told that they get kids all the time who show up with nothing, you know. So as kids head back for the school year, they had their first in-person on Tuesday in Waldport. Those school supplies are really appreciated. So drop-offs again at with Freddie, with Richard O'Hearn, at Olala, and with Kathy Heater. So if you have any questions, let me know. We could resend the email too. I'm sure John has some of the details on those note cards. So thank you. They are much appreciated. This is definitely a low cost service where you can contribute some of your time. And in the spring, we're looking at more group projects where we can get together outside like we did for the habitat houses.
All right, thanks, Sylvia. Yeah, those school supplies are starting to roll in, so keep them coming and we'll have a good donation for Olala Center. Let's see, is Laura on today? Hard to see here, all these Zoom boxes. I don't think she is. I was going to mention that we've got a Rotary happy hour coming up the week after next on the 18th. So instead of our noon meeting, I think it's 6 o'clock, but we'll send out links to that, and that ought to be a lot of fun. We're going to try some breakout rooms and just have kind of a fun happy hour night. That's on the 18th.
I should interject, the school supplies aren't going to Olala. Some are also going to the school district, Newport School District, for their help program and kids who need it here in Newport as well.
All right, well, thanks, Sylvia, for the clarification. Definitely a good cause for that. And let's see, Diane, would you like to talk about our vocational lunch?
Yes, thanks, Freddie. Our vocational lunches will continue next Wednesday. They're always on the second Wednesday of the month. And it'll be from noon to 1. It's on Zoom. Sonia Graham is going to be our presenter this month, and the restaurant that she is reporting or supporting, excuse me, not reporting, supporting is La Maison.
All right. That should be a good one. Thanks, Diane. Anybody else have any announcements they'd like to make? No? Okay, I have just a few more. I'd like to make a plug for a fellow Rotarian and my sponsor who just wrote a new book, Oregon at War. This is the latest and greatest by John Baker. And this is in, JC Market has copies, and I'm sure you could order it online too, but it's a really good book. And actually he talks about some other Rotarians, family members. For those of you who haven't read it, check it out. It's really good. So it kind of deals with the Oregon coast during World War II, and it's got some familiar names in there too. So good book. So I have a few things from today in history. Today in 1913, American civil rights activist Rosa Parks was born. Rosa believed that each person must live their life as a model for others. She died in 2005 at the age of 92, and she certainly lived her life as a model for others. 1991, Alex Trebek becomes the first person to host 3 American game shows at the same time. So I think everyone knows what the first one is, Jeopardy. Anybody know what the second and third are? Guesses? It's kind of a tough trivia question. The other 2 were Classic, Concentration, and To Tell the Truth. And finally, in 2004, Mark Zuckerberg launches Facebook from his Harvard dorm room and changed the American way of life ever since. So, all right, well, with that, go ahead and get into our program and welcome our speaker today. Taunette Dixon is the co-president of Newport Fishermen's Wives and has been active in the organization since the early 1990s. Taunette comes from a 4-generational fishing family, as does her husband, Kevin. They have deep roots in the community, and the community outreach aspect of the program is what drew her in. She's been instrumental in administering the Clifford and Dorothy Hall Scholarship Fund, which is a fund she started as a tribute to her grandparents. Taunette and her husband, Kevin, own the fishing vessel Tawny Ann, which is based out of Newport, and fishing runs deep in their family blood. Their son, Keno, currently fishes with his father, and their daughter, Callie, is becoming more involved with the Newport Fishermen's Wives and is also an executive board member and a newlywed whose husband is also a commercial fisherman. So I'd like to welcome Taunette and turn it over to you.
Thank you. It's a little bit different than the last time I spoke. It's Zoom. I'm trying to get used to it. It's a little harder, I think, not being in person, but we do what we do in these times, I guess. So I guess I'll do the same thing I usually do when I come and speak, and that is I'll give a quick synopsis of the group, the history, the programs we have, and then I'll kind of open it up to questions. Throughout my speaking engagements, I noticed that questions change based on the current emergency we are dealing with, and we tend to always be dealing with one. So the group started in 1970. And when it started, it was a group of women that were just supporting each other. Back then, a lot of the Alaska fishermen were gone for 9 to 10 months out of the year. So they really needed to have other people to help lean on during the times. It was pretty difficult. There wasn't a lot of communication back then. It was just a difficult time for wives left behind. So it was a Fishermen's Wives group. It has greatly evolved since then. we haven't changed the name from Fishermen's Wives, but it is an all-inclusive group. We accept people that aren't even in the industry, but just want to support the industry because the industry has such an impact on our community. We're pretty proud of how we've evolved and the changes we've made in the community. It changed from a social group to an impact group when some needs arised. The first need was to have a rescue helicopter pad at the hospital. At the time when there was rescues, the helicopter would go out, rescue somebody who usually is immersed in cold water and needs immediate attention. They would have to go to the airport, and then the airport would be met by ambulance and then sent to the hospital. And that time period, that lapse in time period, was crucial for rescuing these people. So that was our first big expenditure. And when we started learning how to get the community involved in things that were pretty essential at the time. So we started a cookbook. That was our first fundraiser. And since we've had several cookbooks and they're pretty popular. It's about time for a new one because I don't know too many people that don't have the current one. And then we started fundraising. We had gear, sweatshirts, different things that we were selling to try and fundraise. By and by, though, most of the monies that came in to help us do things like the Helo pad has come from generous donations from small businesses and community members. So that we were able to get the rescue helicopter pad, which was great at the time. Since then, the helicopters have gotten so large, they outgrew that pad. And when the new hospital was built, we got involved in developing a larger pad that actually the helicopters now are able to use. We went from that to actually, there was several tragedies that happened locally that because the rescue helicopter had to come from either North Bend or Astoria, caused the lives of several local fishermen. And so the next big thing was trying to get a rescue station here in the Central Oregon coast. And it took a while, and it took a lot of hard work by some crazy, intelligent, driven women, going back and forth from Washington, D.C., getting the community involved, and they were able to get the station here local, which has saved many, many lives over the years. With that station a few years ago, because of budget cuts, they decided that they were going to remove this station from our port and also a port in the south. We ended up having to file an injunction along with many other partners here locally, the Port of Newport. I can't even think of all the partners that went in with us, but it was a long fight, but we ended up being able to save the Helo. They told us, they gave us information about 20 days before the start of the Dungeness crab season. And the Dungeness crab season is well known to be the most dangerous season that we have here. So it definitely got a lot of people involved. And I think that we, as a small community, surprised the Coast Guard. I don't think they expected what we were able to do to prevent it. And it's not a sure thing to keep the station here, but we have doubts that it will happen again. And of course we hope, but we're very vigilant about that. We've also created a memorial, which we've had many tragedies out of this port, and many of the tragedies, the bodies are never recovered. So it's hard for families to have a place to grieve and for loved ones to come and respect the fishermen that were lost. So we created a memorial that is at the local park here under the bridge, and it's a beautiful memorial that has been a big part of who we are. Basically, what we do now is we support fishing families. We have a mission to make sure that families that are having difficult times, that have lost loved ones, that there's been injuries, we have an emergency committee that kind of swoops in and tries to help these fishing families. I wish every port had a group like ours, because when there is tragedy at sea, you lose your prime household breadwinner usually, because it's hard for a double household income when one of the people are gone most of the time. So it becomes difficult. And what we try and do, and we work in cooperation with the Oregon Crab Commission, we try and make sure that these families have their immediate needs taken care of, so they don't have that worry. I'll kind of go through I have a list because I'll forget something for sure. Our blessing of the fleet, I think, is what we're most known for in the community. We've been doing it for years. We switched it over to during loyalty days just because the weather was a little warmer. We had crowds that were already in the town, so we were able to spread our mission and talking about sustainable fishing and our devotion to the community. And it's kind of I think it's a beautiful event that a lot of people were missing, because we had it in an odd time where a lot of people were gone for spring break. So it really worked to work with loyalty days and kind of create our own event in midst of that event. Last year, of course, we weren't able to do it because of COVID, but we're hoping we can at least do the boat parade this year. It's tough trying to switch things around, as you all know, and make it kind of work in this weird state we're in. Fisherman's Appreciation Day is something we've been doing for a long time. We work with a port and provide t-shirts and, well, this year masks and food for all the fishermen that at the time are usually doing gear work down on the port, preparing for crab season. It's kind of a way for us to be face to face with the fishermen and find out what the current needs are in the industry. It helps us get to know our local fleet a little bit better. Holiday outreach program we started, I think it was 2014. Our crab season has been kind of pushed back year after year. If it's not for price difficulties, it's because of domoic acid or because the crabs aren't quite full. So instead of a December 1st opening, we are tending to go into even January, which causes a lot of difficulties for the families that are expecting that for the holidays, expecting that income for the holidays. You don't have, between crab seasons, these families aren't making an income, between any season, these families aren't making an income. So the previous season for most of the boats is tuna or shrimp, some groundfish throughout the year, but very few nowadays. So they're really counting on that money. And when it doesn't come in, they don't have an income for food, presents, clothing, all the kind of necessities that time of year. And a lot of families also we don't find out until right before, so they don't have time to apply for a lot of the programs that would help them. So we try and provide a kind of a hearty food box. Now it's several boxes. At least one present, tends to be more than that, for the kids in the family, and warm clothing for the children in the families. So we started with about 21 families. And I think this year, between the COVID outreach and the holiday outreach, we hit about 130 families. So the needs out there, and it's a program that we plan on keeping and we're pretty proud of it. Portland Wine and Seafood, we go up and we work with Seafood Oregon, which is all the commodities, all the crab commission, the trawl commission, all of the entities that kind of help all of our different seasons. And we started with just crab cocktails, but we ended up now we sell seafood chowder, we sell fish tacos to all of the people coming in and out of the Portland Wine and Seafood, which is great because at the same time, it's all of us that are manning the station. So we can talk about our industry, we can talk about what our families do, we can talk about the sustainability of our industry. So it's a good time. It's a little easier there. It's an indoors facility. It's a lot of people that are super interested in seafood and the industry. So we get a lot accomplished there, and we make enough there to kind of support most of our programs throughout the year. It's our big fundraiser, which has been a bummer because this year, of course, it was canceled. Hopefully next year. I think that Freddie talked a little bit about my scholarship fund. I started that after my grandparents had passed. They had been big, they had a big impact on both the communities they lived in and fished out of, which was Dutch Harbor on Alaska, and Lincoln County. My grandfather started fishing out of here in the 1940s and actually late 1930s. So he had been around through many changes in the industry, and he had fought for a lot of regulations that are still currently in place and important for the industry and the sustainability. He had the knowledge of needing to make sure that there were fish, crab around for his grandchildren and great-grandchildren for when they decided to follow the family trade, which they all have. So I felt like it was important that I carried on kind of their impact on the community. So we started the Clifford and Dorothy Hall Scholarship Fund, and it started out pretty small with just a couple scholarships for here and for Dutch Harbor and Alaska, but it has grown. We started a calendar, which all the funds went into it from the calendar, and we've had a lot of pretty large donations from the community and from my family. So now we're at the point where we're giving larger scholarships. We're giving at least 4 or 5 in each community. This year, we're going to go from just having fishing families apply to also having people, children, kids, I guess they're not children, they're kids that are interested in the industry and that are going into trades that will help the industry, such as welding or diesel mechanics. So we're trying to open it up and help more than just fishing families in the community. The other thing that I can think of that has been a pretty important committee for us is the Coast Guard Committee. We have, after the Hilo, we had some issues with communication because of the court filings. And so we went for a few years struggling to learn how to reconnect with the Coast Guard and have an open line of communication. And all that has changed in the last few years. There's been a big change. The commanders change pretty regularly, and it kind of opened us up to a new group of people that were able to communicate with us a little bit better. And now we have a pretty open line of communication. They let us know when there's a helicopter down, or they let us know when the 52-foot Victory is not decommissioned, but it's not really in use anymore. So, which is a big deal for our port, because that was the only boat that was capable of towing our large vessels. And we have quite a big large vessel fleet out of Newport. But they sat down, they came, they brought representatives from Seattle, from all around the Northwest that were experts, and let us know what they were doing to help replace replace. There's no boats capable in their fleet of replacing it, but they let us know what their plans were. They showed us what they'd done so far. So the line of communication, instead of just sending us something telling us what was going to happen, they actually invited us to come and talk to them about what they were doing to help us, and why they had to decommission the Victory, which is a pretty big deal because it's really changed our relationship with them, which is important. We have to work hand in hand with them when there's tragedies here locally. So I think that kind of covered it. I know it's a lot, but if you have any questions, or if you want to know about a program a little more detailed, I'd be happy to let you know.
Looks like Lola has her hand up.
Hi, Taunette. First, I just have to kind of give a shout out to the Fishermen's Wives. I think two things that you guys do really well that are not often kind of touted as one of your accomplishments is that you really make our community identity around fishing feel very acceptable for people who are not professionally involved in fishing. Like through the Fishermen's Wives, it is very easy to be supportive of that industry that is our lifeblood, even if you're not directly contributing to it. So I just wanted to kind of call that out. I think that you know, you guys seem to be a leader sort of in these coalitions around the state. And I also just think it's incredible that you are such a huge counterforce to the fallout of our seasonal economy. And I guess my question is there a desire to kind of lean into that role that you guys are playing in helping to make fishing and the processing and everything that goes along with fishing successful in this seasonal economy? It almost feels like the work of an economic development agency, and you guys are taking it on, you know, as volunteers and as non-professionals, I speculate. So is that something that you guys have discussed, or is that something that you feel like was voluntold to you?
So I have found over the last few years that anything fishing related kind of gets dumped on our lap. We have to be cautious and not kind of spread it. We are really a small group. We are a group of, there's probably 100 people that volunteer for us, but there's probably 3 or 4 people that are actually doing the work behind, which is in most nonprofits. I find that's true. We have had a lot of changes in the industry, and most of the women in the group, I mean, there's women in the group in leadership positions that have zero to do with the industry as far as being involved. Our vice president currently works for Human Services. She has no relative, but she loves the atmosphere in our group, and she loves what we're doing for the community, and she has friends that are fishermen, so she joined. And we're trying to change that concept that we are just a fishing. We are here for the community. What the industry does changes the community. And there's some pretty big things that we've been hit with. The tariffs were the first thing. That was really tough on our fleet. The second thing, of course, with COVID, with all the restaurants shutting down and not being able to ship our product, most of our product is shipped overseas. So, we do get a lot of, right now we're working with the Department of Ag on trying to develop ways to get it out to the public, that they can cook seafood themselves, that you don't have to go to a restaurant. It's not complicated. We try and put ourselves in situations where we think we can help, but also where we're educated enough about it to be able to help. So we have to say no a lot, but we also try and say yes whenever we're able to. And as far as I think the industry in this community and trying to reach more people than just that are in the industry, it's pretty easy. I think there was about 5 years ago where we were getting a lot of fallout because I felt like we were kind of fighting with the tourist trade on the Bayfront. It was turning from a working bayfront into a tourist bayfront, and there was a lot of clashing. I think that that has changed. I think that people are now educated enough to know that without the fishing industry in this community, the community would have a difficult time. So I think things are changing, and things like this with me having face-to-face with people that don't have much to do with the fishing industry, that helps. We do a lot of speaking engagements. We go all over. We've gone up to Seattle and gone to conventions. We try and also push for more groups like ours in other communities, and they are starting to pop up, which is pretty important too. I have found where our goal and our biggest mission is to support the fishing families, especially in time of tragedies, but we have spread out from that, and seafood education is a big part of how we have spread out.
Well, I just wanted you guys to be recognized for that kind of secondary function, because, you know, not only are you at the depth of compassion when there is tragedy, but there's a lot of this unspoken work that you guys are doing around community building. And so I think it's important to call out, and good for you.
Thank you so much. I appreciate that.
Looks like Bob has a question.
I'm curious about the Coast Guard station at the airport. That's there now, but is it manned 24/7?
Yes, yeah, it is manned 24/7. They do shifts, so they come back and forth from North Bend. North Bend is the command station for that station. But yeah, they do around the clock. And if there is an issue, we've had a few issues over the years where there is a helicopter there or a helicopter down. When that happens, they tend to pull it from Newport first, just because we're kind of in the middle of all the stations. But it's never happened for more than 48 hours or a short period of coverage, and it's never been during the crucial time, the winter fishing time, when it's most essential. And I think most people don't realize most of the rescues that are coming from this station are happening to tourists, to hikers, to loggers. It's not just the commercial fishing industry. The helicopter is used pretty regularly to help those in need. So it's pretty essential for our whole community and the state at large, because I find that the tourists that are coming from out of town don't understand the dangers on the cliffs or the ocean, and that's when they're pulled into service more than not.
Jeff?
Hi, Taunette. How do I get another cookbook? Is there a address we can mail to or something like that?
Well, I could probably get you one, but we have them everywhere up along the bayfront. We have them at most this like Local Ocean and England Marine and a lot of those places. But we do have an online store. It's kind of silly to use the store and have to pay for shipping when you're local. But
Right.
England Marine and Local Ocean, they usually have them in stock. Those are the two that sell the most.
Okay, super, thanks.
I saw Ursula, yeah.
Yeah, hi, Taunette. So I just wanted to mention, Taunette did mention the helipad at the new hospital. And there is a beautiful monument, if you haven't seen it yet, that's dedicated to fishermen's wives and, or to the fishermen. And it is right near the emergency department entrance with the helipad sort of in the background. So next time you're at the hospital, just check that out. And we were, after that was placed, we were going to have this beautiful dedication ceremony at the helipad, and then COVID hit. We had to postpone that, but it's just postponed. We will be doing that. You'll all be invited, and we'll dedicate the helipad to the fishing community.
Well, and I've got to add too that when we talked to the Coast Guard about the dedication, they were very excited. They want to bring the rescue helicopter. They want to come and speak. That they're very appreciative of the work that's been done in this community to make sure that they have a space to bring the people they are rescuing.
All right, any other questions for Taunette?
I would like to add a comment, which I think Taunette will find interesting. Turn my camera back on. I, in a previous life, was a ground fish observer for 12 years. And yeah, Taunette, I've spent a lot of nights with your husband. But,
Lucky you.
yeah. Actually, it was a privilege. There's a lot of great people on our fishing boats. But I was out of Coos Bay once, and one of the deckhands said to me, "Gosh, I need to go fish in Newport. Fishermen in Newport are respected. Here in Coos Bay, everybody just looks down their nose at us." And I hadn't thought about it much, but that was kind of the case, you know, in Newport, between the Fishermen's Cooperation with the Marine Science Center, which has been outstanding over the years for developing research and refining and limiting bycatch, and that's really helped. And then the work of the Fishermen's Wives, it's really done a lot to boost the standing of the fishermen and people's appreciation of that industry. And I do again wish that all communities had that.
Yeah, I think we work really, that's one of the things in the last few years we've been working really hard at, and we've actually had 3 different ports that we've directly worked with to start a group, and North Coos Bay is close to where we worked with a group. But it's true, and it's been one of the biggest issues to make people realize. I think that there's a lot of misconceptions about the fishing industry. I think that people don't realize how sustainable we are and how regulated we are and how hard we work to make sure that there's stocks for next year. So we're not just making money this year and next year going bankrupt. We work really hard, and I think that education needs to get out there more. And I think in Newport, one of the best parts about the community is our working bayfront. You don't see a lot of working bayfronts anymore. And we not only have fish plants, but we have all of the side jobs that help our community attract other boats. We have, net shops, we have gear shops, we have electronic shops, we have everything that a boat would need in a port where you don't see. I don't know another port other than if you're going up to Seattle or big cities that would be able to accommodate boats like our port does. And so that also, makes a big difference in our community and the money that it's bringing in, because all these boats that are coming here to buy their nets, to get worked on, to buy their electronics, that's driving our community. So our community has been very supportive of all these businesses and our industry, and you don't see that in a lot of communities.
Anybody else have any questions for Taunette? All right, well, Taunette, I'd just like to echo what Lola said. Boy, Fisherman's Wives sure does a lot of great things in the community, and I've got a calendar hanging in my office from Fisherman's Wives at all times. So boy, your efforts to save the helicopter were sure instrumental for the community and keeping that around too. So as a thank you for speaking with us today, one of our goals in Rotary is to end polio, and we'd like to vaccinate 50 children against polio in your name as a thank you. So thanks again for coming by, and that was a great presentation.
Okay, great.
Thanks.
Thanks for having me. I always enjoy coming to Rotary. You're a great group. I really respect you and all you guys do. So thank you so much.
Well, hope you come back and see us again soon. Thanks, Taunette.
Okay.
All right. Well, I kind of did things a little bit out of order today because I know Taunette has another meeting to get to. So Bob, you have anything for us for your Sergeant at Arms?
Boy, it's pretty slim pickings, but we got a little bit. Hello there, Rotarians. How are you guys? Let's show a little enthusiasm.
Hello, Big Bob.
All right, that's a little bit better. Have we got any happy dollars out there? Sylvia, thank you. You're saving my bacon.
Yeah, well, this is a big happy dollar because I've switched broker dealers, and this week I started with Principal Financial. So I'll be $20 happy about that.
Oh, wow. Well, congratulations. Yeah, good for you. Marcia, I saw you had your hand up.
Well, yesterday was kind of a special day, Bob.
Another birthday.
No, well,
Oh.
kind of an anniversary.
Oh,
One year
really?
ago, yes, 1 year ago yesterday, I was sworn onto the bench for the first time. And 28 years ago yesterday, I moved to this county. So I guess 28 and 1 makes $29 happy.
Boy, it sure does. Well, we're happy that you're here too.
Thank you.
Anybody else?
Got one, Bob.
Oh, Megan.
I am $25 happy to announce that we get to finally start doing some sports portraits at school.
Yay.
So we're doing them all different. We've recreated everything, but we get to go see some kids in some uniforms and get some stuff going. So I'm going to be $50 happy towards my next Paul Harris.
Well, good for you. Thank you and congratulations. Yeah. You know, I often stick my foot in my mouth, and I tried to about 2 or 3 weeks ago when the Thompsons and Kenny Riley and everybody got up and just left the meeting. But then I caught up with Kenny and found out why. Kenny, are you still here? Is he in there someplace?
Yes, I'm still here, Big Bob.
Oh, there you are. Yeah, hi. Anyway, I don't know whether you want to talk about it or not, but how are things going? And
Well, I think, I mean, I don't know if we want to get too much into it, but we had a scare with trash. And so we all left in a hurry, and, you know, it's going to be an ongoing thing, but that's why we all left at the same time.
well, I thought you were boycotting the Sergeant of Arms, so I'm glad that I'm still in the clear.
No, you're in the clear.
Okay, well, thank you. Anybody else? Well, in that case, I'll turn it back over to you, Freddie.
All right, well, thank you, Bob. And I've got 10 happy bucks too, because I have my autographed copy of John Baker's book. And I actually learned a little bit about a Jack Wienert. That name ring a bell, Bob?
Yeah.
Pretty.
So I didn't know about that, Freddie. That's kind of cool to hear. I'll have to buy a copy of the book.
Yeah, you'll have to check it out. There's a great story about your dad in here. Matter of fact, it's the first accounting of you know, one of the locals that was involved in World War II. So.
You know, let me just ask real quickly. I don't know how many of you were there when I played my dad's CD probably 5 years ago, but it might be time to hear that again. He had quite a story in World War II, and it was all recorded. So I'm sure Guy heard it. You've been around long enough, and so is John Clark, but I don't know whether you remember it, but it was 18 minutes long. I know Jeff remembers it.
So Bob,
anyway,
in the
I'll
book,
bring that again, and that might be fun.
in the book, your dad's account is in the book pretty extensively.
Yeah. Oh, good.
Yep, check it out. It's a good one. All right. Well, thanks, Bob. Let's see. Moving on to our secretary, Jim.
Unmute challenged, but here nonetheless. We have 69% attendance with makeups applied. So again, we're on a really good trend on attendance, and it's wonderful to see so many Rotarians today. The member incentive is $10 today, and it is Rob Wienert for the big winner, $10.
Okay.
All right. Thanks, Jim. And how about our 50-50?
All right, I'll go ahead and do the 50-50. Let's see if I can share my screen here. You all can watch me. We actually are really good. We've got we've got $100. So the grand prize will be $50 for the 50-50. And let's go ahead and spin.
Hopefully they're seeing us because they still see us.
Oh, yeah, I don't know if you guys are seeing this or not.
Kathy Heater.
Kathy Heater.
Hey. All right.
So did you guys get to see that?
Yep.
Okay, good. because on our dual screens, we were still seeing our ugly mugs, and so I wasn't sure it shared right.
Saw it,
That
and
was
there was
great.
confetti too.
All right, well, congratulations, Kathy, on that. And let's see, do we have a social media award?
We do, Freddie. It's the winner this week is an ex-Newport High teacher, Al Fitzpatrick.
All right, Al. All right, anybody have any last minute announcements before we get into our 5-way test?
Freddie, can I get $10 for Dustin Capri's scarf? That scarf is epic.
All right, well, thanks, Rob. So next week we have another good informative program I think will be worth showing up for. We have Rob Murphy coming in to talk to us about the Newport Fire Department and give us some updates. So that'll be a good one. Hope to see you next Thursday. Same time, same place. And let's see, Sylvia, would you mind taking us out with the 5-way test?
Let me turn myself back on. I must have got it right last week, so you have me do it again. The 5-way test of the things that we think, say, and do. 1, is it the truth? I wish everybody used this. 2, is it fair to all concerned? 3, will it build goodwill and better friendships? 4, will it be beneficial to all concerned? And 5, is it fun? If not, make it fun.
All right, nicely done, Sylvia. Thank you very much. And good seeing everybody this week. Hope to see you all next week. Have a great weekend and great rest of the week.